today.
Yeah.
So if you stay to the end of the podcast, you have a chance of getting some really cool podcast gear, as far as like merchandise and stuff like that. Um, I have diverted all of the chat to the host so that I can kind of keep an eye on what's going on and answer questions and keep that organized. It's not that I don't trust you guys, but I do have a reason to control that tempo. Um, Also, be respectful. Try to keep your questions down to a paragraph to where I can read through it really quick and pose that to our guest and whatnot. And then afterwards, I know I usually do a hack. This week has not been my best week for that. I've been really busy. I've had, this stuff in Texas going on. So I asked Juan to do a demo or a walkthrough of Exploit Pack, and he's going to do that, which I think will be really beneficial to anybody getting into the industry. Um, and we'll figure out a way to pick the people for the merchandise giveaway. I may ask some trivia questions, or I don't know. I'm gonna get creative. Just depends on my mood. Depends on how many bourbons I take down. So I am going to ask Juan. Actually, I'm gonna make him a co-host, and then I'm gonna ask Juan to unmute and kick up his video so that we can have our discussion and go from there. And I want to thank Juan for taking time out of his schedule to become part of the haunted crew and walking into our little haunted house amusement park. Um, it's
Hey, Mike. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, Juan, how are you?
Hey.
Hey, buddy, do you have a video by any chance?
No, not on this computer.
Okay, cool. We'll just do it with audio. Dude, it's great to have you on. I really appreciate you taking your time out of your schedule. I know you have a busy schedule and development life cycle that you look after, but I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So what I want to do, I want to give you a moment to introduce yourself, talk about maybe where you started and what brought you to Exploit Pack. I'm sure we'll have questions along the way. I'm going to be watching the chat for questions from the audience, and we'll go from there. This is really laid back and casual, so anything goes, Juan. So go ahead.
All right. Well, I'm Juan Sacco, originally from Argentina, living in the Netherlands for the last 7 years. I'm now 36 years old, and I started when I was around 10 with computers. Just playing around 286 and 386 machines, trying to install Linux, then getting into these Linux clubs and just playing around. From the beginning, also always wanted to do more with the software. I always liked programming, but I also always liked it to bend the rules of programming. And I'm also really a curious person, so I like to look behind what's happening. And from there, well, I also you mentioned Asterisk. I also did some installation of Asterisk in the beginning. So I'm also involved into the free software movement. I'm a really fan of that. So yeah, well, I basically work as a red teamer pen tester for a long time now. Exploit developer, reverse engineering. So working on that. But yeah, that's my background. That's what I've been doing. You can Google me, and you will find what I do. That's the best than me just talking about it.
Yeah.
It's I think we are all pretty much the same in the area. Everyone has computer. Everyone started from the beginning with the old stuff, and then we are just getting to the modern stuff, seeing how we can adapt.
So tell me about cybersecurity and growing up in Argentina. Tell me about the environment there, as far as like, how advanced is cybersecurity? What are the concerns that Argentina has as far as like compromises and breaches? It's always interesting to see the type of concerns and the type of threats that countries focus on from other parts of the world. I know from the US, it's mostly financial and infrastructure. Is it the same for Argentina, or tell me about your environment there?
That's pretty much the same as anywhere else. I mean, some governments or companies or corporations that they have more focus on certain areas, but pretty much it's the same attacks, pretty much the same type of techniques used everywhere, because we are in a globalized world. There is nothing that is restricted or to certain places or areas. I think you will see I don't know, a bank Trojan that will attack an Argentinian bank, but also they might use a similar one to attack a Ukrainian or one from the US, and they will use the same type of techniques. It depends on the company location. I mean, yeah, I don't think there is. But if you're talking regarding on how is the exposure of it, of course, in Argentina, as having less exposure than US or other countries that have more corporations that are that are internet faced, or more people are focused on those or have the eyes on that, of course they will receive more attacks than small companies, a small corporation, or a small
That makes sense. So Argentina as a whole, you know, a lot of our viewers, I know some of them probably haven't been outside the country. Um, Probably very few have been to Argentina or South America or Central America. So tell me what it's like in Argentina, the tech scene, the hacker scene, um, groups that you can get involved with, stuff like that, as far as security professionals go.
I cannot tell you how it is right now because I'm out of the country for the last 7 years. But when I was there, I think it's there is really smart people there. There's really curious people, and a lot of good reverse engineers and expert writers are from Argentina.
Awesome, awesome. So I noticed within Exploit Pack, you had mentioned 0 days within the Exploit Pack. How do you guys get a hold of those 0 days, or do you code them yourself and put them into the actual tool, or are you guys putting together a 0 day initiative to offer, you know, I guess payment or reward for 0 days?
That's a good question. Well, first off, Expert Pack is not it's not a 0 day tool. It's a red team pentest/pentester tool for threat simulation, and that it's a framework basically.
Right.
But regarding the 0 day side of it, so basically when we stumble into a vulnerability that can become weaponized, or we want to help pen testers that are on the defensive side, and they want to test their servers against that type of vulnerability, they can use Exploit Pack if they have it. And that's how it is. Basically, it's the same process as with any other type of vulnerability. There are some vulnerabilities that are more important than others, and not all can become weaponized, but some they can.
Absolutely. So, what took you to? You're in the Netherlands, right? You said you moved to the Netherlands about 6 years ago.
Yes.
So what took you to the Netherlands? I actually lived in Volendam and spent some time in Amsterdam in my 20s, and I gotta say it's probably one of the most beautiful countries I've ever been to. And it was really hard to leave. But what took you to Holland, Netherlands, and abroad? What took you there?
Well, sort of the same, but it was so hard for me to leave the state. So, but basically, I have a son. Now he's 14. So yeah, I think it's a good country to raise him.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But of course, Netherlands is an impressive country. They have parks everywhere, greens, canals, access to lakes. So yeah, we like that.
Yeah. So when I first moved to Holland, I actually was going on a backpacking journey from Holland to Italy, but for some reason I never made it past Amsterdam. I'm not really sure why that is. But yeah, it's a beautiful place. You have the Van Gogh Museum there. And what I was really shocked at was the amount of technical advancement in that country beyond the US. Back in 2001, they had internet cafes pretty much on every corner. They had internet phone booths. In the US, that was unheard of. But they were on top of it. Like that whole country is wired for sound and ready to go. And I think that's why we see some of the world's best hackers coming out of Holland is because of that open environment, freedom of thinking, and just that advancement. Like they really put money into the critical infrastructure, into the advancement of technology. Something I wish all countries would do, but some are slower than others. So tell me, Juan, tell me how the exploit pack started and the journey that it took to get to where it's at now.
Well, I was a user of Metasploit. I still are. So when they become commercialized, I decided to start my alternative, and that's what I did a few years ago, and then that take us here.
So how does that compare to, let's say, Armitage, right? The open source Armitage. I'm not a huge fan of Armitage. Uh, Metasploit, I've always been a fan of. I know you've probably done work with HD. HD's a great guy. Nothing but good things to say about HD and Metasploit. Um, so how does it compare to, let's say, how does Exploit Pack compare to Nexpose, aka Metasploit, Armitage, Saint Exploit, those types of applications and appliances? Um, yeah, just give us a rundown on that.
Well, if you try Exploit Pack, you will find that everything that's there is there for a reason. Every feature, every part of the code, a piece of it has been added because it was needed during a pen test. So basically, or during a red team exercise. So that's how it took shape, the whole tool itself. So basically, it's based on needs, based on automation, based on what was needed to be done, how to take it from point A to B, and without taking on the scenic route. So that's the quick and dirty solution of Exploit Pack, and that's how it's going to help you to achieve results during a pen test. Because I've been in the situation that I have to deliver. Another of my colleagues were on the same spot, where you have a time frame. You need to understand your client. You need to understand what you're doing. You need to be stealthy. You need to be fully food. You need to get there somehow, and you need tools that will help you get there, get into that position. But most of the tools nowadays on the market, they don't focus there. They lose the focus. They are not really used by pen tester, except for a few that I think everyone knows.
Yeah, and that's one thing I run into with Metasploit, right? So the most difficult thing for me with Metasploit is when I have a specific vulnerability I'm looking for, and doing a search. The search is not very intuitive when it comes to finding that one exploit that I really need. I end up coding it myself, and it becomes monotonous. So let's say a company decides that they have a red team, right, Juan? And they form this red team. They want Exploit Pack. They sign up. They get their licenses for, let's say, 4 seats of Exploit Pack for their team leaders, and they run into a problem where there's an exploit for a certain vulnerability, but within the environment, there may be a variable that's hanging that exploit up and it's not successful. Can they reach out to you and
Yes.
get help to manipulate that code to where it works in that environment?
Yeah, yes, of course, because in the core we are expert providers, and what we provide as well is support for that. No matter if it's an exploit that you are porting from somewhere that you want to run into this different platform that is not the target for, or you are working on your own fuzzing, and then you find a vulnerability and you are trying to weaponize that. and then you need help on that, we can also always help you with that. Of course, we always ask to read before ask.
Right.
But of course, that's one of the things that we are most focused on Exploit Pack, is to help the tester get there.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important pieces of, a company providing a tool for red teaming, is that every environment is different, and the exploit that should work in that environment, there may be a variable that is either seen or unseen that may keep that exploit from working. But being a seasoned red teamer or pen tester, you know that that exploit's going to work. It's just a matter of manipulation. And when you're on site, it can be daunting and really difficult. I remember I was on a pen test in Cyprus in the Mediterranean, and we had created a bunch of Cisco exploits with Superior Viper Labs. And the UC Sniff version I was using was not working on the internal infrastructure simply because of a delay between CDP messages. So I had to contact the US, and, Cyprus and the US is very far apart, and I was waking people up. But I really needed that exploit tweaked a little bit from our guys internally. And that became a job within itself. So that's really cool that you guys offer that type of assistance after, sending them away to read, technical specs, whatever, and try to get it on their own. It's really cool that you guys offer the fact that, hey, we can help you on that at some point if you do due diligence and carry out your part of it. We'll take a look at our code and see what we can do. That's really cool, because that's almost like a customized platform for red teamers.
Is this something that's not offered by other companies? Or?
No. They'll provide support. A lot of them charge for support, like large amounts for support. And as far as exploit code, once it's built into the tool, that's it, bro. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's true. We are, because this we can still do it because we are a small company. I mean, right. We are still at the core. We are a pen tester. We are not poisoned yet by marketing or by. So we are still there. So, but we would like to keep like that in the core. We would like to keep this type of view, and hopefully we will. But because I think this is really important to keep in touch with what is really happening, and how you can help them, the other guy. Also because of that, we are trying to give trainings every year. We give around 8 trainings or more or less regarding reverse engineering, regarding exploit development. So that's something you can take with us besides. And that's also including the license. I mean, because when we started this project to help people get more familiar, not only with the tool, but with IT security. And that's with the technical side of it. That's it, sharing the knowledge.
That's super important. So that's what we're about in the Haunted Crew, is taking people like yourself who have vast amounts of knowledge and taking it to our community. We have people from 11, 10 years old to 60 that are thirsty for knowledge and want to learn. So that's how we've built our community. And that's cool that you've built the exploit pack around that type of mentality, because in the end, we're all red teamers, right? And we all work together, and the community thrives when we disclose new vulnerabilities. When we develop new exploits, it just makes us stronger, which is really cool to see that in a small company. So projecting the next, 5 or 10 years, where do you see Exploit Pack going? Do you see it being a very commercialized product? Do you see it grassroots, combination of the two? Because I know a lot of those applications are going CE or commercial. A version of both, right? So with Metasploit, you get the community edition, but it gets the updates on the exploits like later than the actual paid version. Which, I mean, it makes sense because the paid versions usually go to the companies who have the money to spend, that are doing cool projects or whatever and have paying clients. The community edition is more for people learning, developing stuff inside their own internal networks and practicing their exploit techniques and timing and all that stuff. So where do you see exploit pack fitting into the industry, let's say 5 years from now? What's your roadmap look like?
Well, that's a tough question to answer because I cannot tell where the industry is going to go in 5 years. I mean, now 5 years, if you ask me this same question 5 years ago, we don't even have red teams. We don't even have a threat simulation like that we have it today. There is no EDR solutions 5 years ago. So that I cannot tell, but what I can tell you is that in 5 years we will try to be on the edge. We will try to keep ourselves there, become more mature, more in touch with our customers. We would like to keep it like that. That's well, of course, enlarge the team and try to not get poisoned by marketing and investors.
Good luck with that.
Yes.
So do you guys get involved with communities like the Haunted community, doing speaking engagements, doing training seminars, just get involved with the grassroots community of people trying to start cybersecurity and get involved?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as long as there is people trying to learn, there will be people trying to teach, and we want to be on that side. Because we were on the other side, not so long ago, right? I still remember when I was 15, I was looking for books, where to buy, what to do, what to learn, and it's hard. And you need to look up. Now it's easier for us because as some people might be listening this podcast on the internet, that they can just follow a link. But when I was 12 or 15, I have to go to the library and find some books and trying to see, should I learn this language programming or should I learn this other one? But I only have money for this book. What should I do? What should I do? And there is no Google. There is no one to ask.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think when we got started, actually when I got started, there was Commodore 64s and BBSs, and there was not a whole lot of exploit development. It was more, let's see what tones match what tones and
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's come a long way in the past, 20, 30 years. But it's really cool to know that you guys are involved in the grassroots as well, trying to pass on that knowledge, because a lot of the big corporations, I was kind of disappointed with Saint Corporation. Billy Austin was a great asset to Saint Corporation. And before Saint, so looking at the evolution life cycle of a tool, right? So Saint was not always Saint. Saint was actually Satan at one point when it was open source. And it looked for vulnerabilities and was a vulnerability scanner, one of the first. So it got commercialized, became Saint Exploit, and then all of a sudden, the lower level people in grassroots no longer were that interesting. It was more of how many corporate clients can we get, how many government contracts can we get, and people were left saying, well, what about the guys who supported you from day one when you were a community version and free? We gave you support, we donated, we actually produced exploits to help build this tool, and now you're abandoning the grassroots. And I think that's the biggest concern with all the open source community is all these security applications going commercial and losing that input and losing that valuable cooperation and interaction with the community. Do you worry about that at all? Like in the future, do you worry about losing that open source grassroots touch?
Not at the moment, because we still have to face it people working. There are on that one side they are programmers, and on the other side they are pen testers. But I know those kind of people are quite in extinction nowadays. You will find more developers. You will find a lot of pen testers, but they don't really mix. And if you don't have that in the same bag, then it's gonna be quite hard. It's like trying to develop a game without being a gamer. You don't know what to do.
Yeah. So I was really surprised when I was reading your bio and I saw that you had developed Exploit Pack and was still one of the main developers of Exploit Pack. I know with HD, when he went to Rapid 7, he kind of took a back seat and they took over Metasploit within Rapid 7. And I think a lot of guys that, and even White Hat, I know that when Jeremiah Grossman and Robert Hansen were involved in starting a company, it was exciting times, right? And then when it got turned over to corporate, it became this mess. And I was involved in one of their latest ventures when they opened up a office in Belfast. I went up there and interviewed their Belfast company, their Belfast office. And I've known Jeremiah for years. We had to sit down probably 5 or 6 years before that in his office in California, San Jose. And we're talking about White Hat and the future for White Hat. And then when I get to Belfast, it was kind of shocking to see the difference between the corporate mentality in Belfast as opposed to Jeremiah's visions for the future. And I know that's hard because you deal with investors, you deal with time constraints, you deal with VC funding, stuff like that. So with the outside influences, I know that everybody has to make a buck, right? Do you guys depend on VC funding, or are you just going with the value of the tool and what you can provide to the community?
Well, the thing with us is that we have the luxury of programming what we like. We don't depend on funding. So basically, we can focus on what's best. We don't need to follow deadlines, and I'm sure we cannot compare our goals with other companies, because we don't have to follow an investor deadline. We don't have to make X amount of sales at the end of the year in order to get a happy face on that quarter. But that's not for us. Luckily, and we try to keep it that way.
That's awesome, Juan. Like, to hear that come from your mouth, that's really awesome, because so many companies are willing to sell out for the money. And with that being said, like, Exploit Pack definitely has my 100% support. It had it before, but the fact that you guys don't depend on VC scheduling and rounds and investing is like so important, because a lot of the validity of the tools and a lot of the community support ends up getting damaged by VC funding, I think. So I'm going to get into some questions and answers really quick, things that I've kind of put together. I'm sure Ryan has his own questions as well. Mine are pretty simple, and I always like to pick the brains of people who are from the same stable that I'm from, like the red teaming, the pen testing, the hacking. So my question, Juan, is your favorite exploit and why?
My favorite exploit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it has to be the one for the one that is used on OSCP, because a lot of people have asked me about that one. It's the one for Microsoft server. You can find it on ExploitDB, and it's not nothing special, but it's I find it funny that some people is using it on OSCP. So people is asking me, hey, can you help me with that one? I always try to help with to make it work.
Yeah, and another thing too I want to throw in there too is that you rarely meet people like Juan in the industry. Juan, maybe Sandro from Sip Vicious, they stand by their tools, and I've never met people who would do that once they hit a commercial level. But I can tell you, just from talking to Juan from a short period of time and talking to, others that carry that same mentality, that's refreshing. It's really cool. All right. So another question. This is my last question, and I'll turn it over to Ryan. He can quiz you on his questions. There's no right or wrong answers, but the first time you popped a shell on a remote system, what were your thoughts?
I hope the police will not cut me or something like that, of course, but it was a long time ago. I think it was 10 or something.
So do you remember the exact exploit that you used to get in?
No, not the exact exploit.
No.
But I remember going outside and looking at the police cars, thinking, "Oh, they will cut me." They know. That was crazy. Yeah, but I was I think it was around the 12 or something.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I think for me, the most memorable, the very first exploit that I ran was a file share exploit with Mac OS. And it was an old G2 Mac, I think, that was downloading music through, I think it was LimeWire or whatever. And I had got into that system through the internet. And as they were downloading, I was deleting their shit. And I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. I'm like, okay, I'll show you piracy. I'll just delete all your shit. But I was a destructive kid, so it didn't really matter. So I'll turn this over to Ryan. I'm sure that Ryan has some questions. And for the listeners, if you guys want to post your questions to me, I'll funnel them over to Juan as we go. Go ahead, Ryan.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Hey, Ryan.
Okay, so for people who are just coming into the scene, into the industry, exploit plaque, look, it can be kind of overwhelming. Where would be a good entry point for them coming into software like exploit plaque?
Well, the manual pages, that's the best introduction. And of course, if you are kind of lazy, then you can watch out the videos as well. But of course, I will say go to the manual, get the trial version, download it, and try to use it, and see how it feels. And and you can look at the utilities, look at something that suits you, something that you need.
Yeah, perfect. Are you bringing it up in background there, Mike? Nice. So what's the difference between the trial version and the commercial? Is there stuff that can't be done in the trial, or
970 euros?
Yeah, the trial version is choose so you can see if it's a tool that you need. It's not a shareware version. It's not a version that will include the exploits that you can actually use on a pen test. You can look at the features, you cannot use them. So that's the main difference. But you can try the software. You can see if it suits you, if there is something that's one of the features that you might need on the next pen test, and if it's something that it will be part of your arsenal of tools or not. That's how you can decide.
Yeah. How does someone become involved in the exploit plaque community?
Well, we have a Discord channel. There is also a ticketing system. So if you need help, you can ask us directly, or you can get into the Discord channel and ask the other guys. Also, you can ask them if they like the tool or not. Hopefully they do.
It's a great tool.
Yeah.
Is there any questions from the audience?
Yeah. There's one. So Drake wants to know, does Exploit Pack have the ability to invoke modules from Metasploit in the UI?
No, it doesn't.
That makes sense.
No, they don't. I think at one point we were trying to build an API for other tools, but then you have to maintain that API, and it didn't make sense.
Right, totally. Another question I have for myself, Jar, using Java for Exploit Pack. What was your decision on using Java instead of another platform to build Exploit Pack?
Well, at the beginning, we started with .NET, building it on Visual Studio, and then we decided, no, this is not going to work. So we didn't pass the mockup. And then after that, I started with Python. We didn't like it either. And then we thought, okay, we need to make it a multi-platform. Was the best choice that we have at that moment, and it was Java. So we built it in top of Swing, and well, Swing we changed it. Oh no, sorry, what was the other one? Yeah, I think it was Swing. Yeah, it was Swing. And then yeah, we built it in top of that, and then yeah, we get it from there. So basically, we try to make one chart that, well, you can make it binary, of course, if you want, but it should be able to run it as any other tools that runs with Java in Linux, Windows, or Mac, or any, or maybe a refrigerator that runs Java. You should be able to do it.
Yeah, I'm so glad to see
that Java can run, you should be able.
I'm so glad to see that you guys really try to stay away from doing an all web UI type situation for the tool. Yeah, back when Satan turned to Saint, everybody went to web UI. Nessus went to web UI. Armitage went to web UI. But the problems that we had as pen testers and red teamers was those UIs hung up so bad. And if you had a large net block or subnet to scan, it always caused problems. So that definitely kudos on that. So Drake says, does Exploit Pack have a team server similar to Cobalt Strike so teams can hand off exploit shells, etc. in real time?
No, at the moment we don't have anything like that.
Yeah. So the way that I look at Exploit Pack, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Exploit Pack is more like a more robust version of Metasploit with better exploits and your options in shellcode, and gives you better written material as far as the operations and streamlining stuff. That's just from my point of view of using the tool. But I can see the advantages of Exploit Pack above Metasploit without a problem. The other ones aren't even in the same category. So like Saint, Exploit, not even close. So if I were to have my two choices as a red teamer walking into an environment where I was pretty certain I was going to run into some challenges, and I was also going to see maybe some close to 0-day exploits or vulnerabilities that I need to match exploits up to, I think from my experience, personal experience, I would have chose Exploit Pack over Metasploit, simply because of the fact of the life cycle of Metasploit. And don't quote me on this, and I know this is going to be on TV next week, but I don't think Metasploit is going to last much longer without the hands of HD Moore on Metasploit. So I'm hoping that he comes around and gets involved or stays involved with Metasploit. But my choice would be Exploit Pack. One quick question for me. I know that I've used up all my questions, Juan. I'm sorry. But encoders within your shellcode, are you going to build out like a module to where you can choose different encoders for the shellcode to get past specific AVs that are on site that you encountered during a red team event? Or is it going to be basically raw shellcode and it's up to the red teamer to encode it to where they feel comfortable enough to get it past AV?
Well, basically, all our agents, they pass AV, of course. And what we are not focused on AV signature. We are now more focused on EDR solutions, because that's what's coming. And we don't want people to think that you will change the fingerprint by choosing coding your shellcode and then that's it. We want to show you and make use agents that are gonna be able to do what you need. If you need to leave off the land, then you should be able to pick up the agent that will do that, and doesn't need to have features that you don't need. And if you need to have an agent that will directly call syscalls, then you should be able to do that as well. But it depends on the scenario, and I think there is a really a misconception of how to bypass AVs. and people think, okay, let's use encode, let's just use encoder, and then that's it. And yeah,
port protocol are one of the biggest things for me. So lately we've been focusing on the podcast on archaic ways of exfiltrating data, whether it be through RF, whether it be through common known services or ports that can get mixed into traffic and kind of hide without AV seeing it. We've been pretty successful at doing that within some of the projects I've done, especially with some of the AI stuff. I think that what we're going to find out in the next 5 years is the AI platforms that boast all of the we can learn your network and stop APT attacks are going to be snake and oil. So that's all smoke and mirrors is going to go away, and it's going to go back to the original exploit pack, Saint Corporation, stuff like that does the exploits and can get past what we need to get past. One of the things that we ran into early on, I don't know if you remember when Qualys first came out, but the biggest problem we had was convincing clients that yes, our platform uses agents put on the system for the exploitation part of it. But we go back and those agents are removed afterwards. So how does that work with an exploit pack, right? Are there agents left behind? And if so, how does exploit pack remove those agents or any traces of that agent so that someone doesn't follow up behind us and utilize that door?
Well, the agent, it depends on the pen tester. I mean, once they are using it, it's their own thing. If they don't know how to clean traces, if they don't know how to clean evidence, then it's up to them. Right. And as soon as one of the pen testers from the world using exploit pack will upload one of the agents to the central repository of antivirus, then I don't want to name products, but we all know the EDR solutions that they use cloud. Yep. And if as soon as it gets there, then it's fingerprinted, and then that's it. And that's why people think, okay, let's use encoders. Well, you shouldn't.
Yeah. So sometimes, like if I know the AV solution that's inside the firewall, I'll mess with encoders, but really it's all about looking at what services are running and being able to hide your activity within a service that's accepted or a normal behavior like a port or protocol. I can't count how many times I've gotten PowerShell exploited in a company, a large corporation, using port 80 because to them it's natural behavior. And who knows, PowerShell, port 80, it's all good. Yeah, I get that same reaction. Oh, we do that all the time. Really? So, Ryan, any more questions? I've got a little.
I want to see this demo.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to do one thing that I saw on Colin Hardy's podcast, which I thought was really cool. I've been on his podcast a couple of times, InfoSec Journeys and InfoSec Real, and he does a little kind of like a game where I mention a word. And first thing comes to mind, Juan, shoot out your comment. This will be pretty interesting. I'll ask a few, and then Ryan, if you want to ask a few, that's fine. So let's see. The first word, cloud computing.
What's the game? Sorry, should I answer? What? You got me there.
So when I say a word, when I say a phrase, you tell me the immediate response that it has in your mind. When you think of cloud computing, what's your response? Short answer.
I don't know, data store or something.
Okay, it doesn't have to be positive or negative. I can tell you my response to cloud computing is leaky buckets and fuck, it's raining again.
All right, fair enough.
Microsoft Windows.
Getting better.
Paycheck. Let's see. Secure protocol.
Which one?
Secure protocol.
Oh, secure protocol. You said worldwide.
Yeah. Okay. Shellcode.
Fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan, your turn.
Machine learning.
Oh, fuck.
nested ifs.
Tutorials.
What was that, Mike?
I said tutorials. When someone says machine learning, I automatically think back to school and think those machine learners need to go back to tutorials. Take extra credit.
Automation.
Ooh.
Automation, sales scripts,
Yeah.
programmers, jobs.
Less pen testers. Let's see. Favorite language, Juan, go.
Python.
Okay. Nice.
But I hate I hate that they moved to Python 3 without having without making any simple ports to 2.7.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of Python, simply because it's easy to read and it's easy to write. And I'm usually in a hurry.
I got one. Exploit pack.
Oh, million.
Fun tool, something I like.
Juan, Sacco.
I don't know.
Oh, that's a good one.
Curious person.
So, least favorite tool.
My least favorite tool.
For red teaming.
Oh, for red teaming.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let me think about it. Well, I have, but I don't want to start flame war. But
I'll tell you my least favorite tool, and you don't have to respond, Juan. I know it puts you on the spot because you're part of a big company. My least favorite tool is fucking Nmap, and I know that's a basis. I know it's a basis foundation for any pen tester that's starting out, but I can get more information by doing a 10-minute TCP dump than running a 30-minute freaking Nmap scan on monotonous bullshit. I think it was just the way it was built, and it continues to be built, is just there's too much to it, and it takes up too much time and resources. Mass scan. What's your response on mass scan?
I don't use it that much. I don't think. I think they are better tools.
Yeah, it's very noisy. Yeah, it's super noisy. But when you want to attack an entire continent, it's easy to get an entire continent info and intel in one sweep in like 2 hours. I think it took me. So any questions you have for us, Juan? I know that you were kind of, brought into this kind of blindly as, the haunted hacker community, and probably not a whole lot of people know about us. But we're here lurking in the shadows watching. Any questions you have for me or Ryan, or even the people that are logged in, watching and listening?
No, so far I have no question for you guys, but yeah.
Very cool. All right, so I'm going to open this up completely for questions from the audience. If Juan, you want to get ready for the demo and share your screen, go ahead and do that. You have co-host control. All right. And I'm going to shut off my video for a minute and let you guys roll with that. Ryan, take over and kind of lead the demo and help Juan where he needs it, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, nice one.
Cool.
So does anyone got any questions? Any questions for Juan? Everyone's silent as always. No, Juan, I just want to thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it. I've been bugging you enough over the last couple of months. Hey,
all right. I'm gonna share the whole screen.
Yeah, perfect.
So what I'm doing now here is just running the exploit pack here. This is something you can try by yourself. This is you can get this version from exploitpack.com. Here, what you can see as soon as you are welcomed by the tool, you will find a set of tabs that, well, it will suits your needs depending on what you are trying to achieve. Because this hasn't been updated, I only running a 442 exploit, but if you get the update and you register it, then you will get around 39,000 and the 0 days and the shell codes as well. But what I'm gonna show you now, guys, is the new red team tab.
Hello,
quite a big one. But here, well, we can try the first one. This guy, from here you can use different type of agents. These same agents, you can deploy these agents from an exploit, or something that will go like in a chain attack. Will be first you get an exploit, then you can do a privilege escalation with a different exploit. You can do it everything from the tool itself. So basically, first you run the exploit, then you get a privilege escalation, and then you can run, if you decide to get an agent running instead of choose a shellcode, a simple shellcode, you can do that as well. And that's what I'm going to show you now. Or you can choose run it per se. You have different types of them. The first one is the browser one. This is just basically it will just pop up a tunnel between the browser, so you can have different browsers connected. Here on the connection list you will see the different ones that we have. Basically that's self-explanatory. You will have an agent connected to the browser of the victim, and then you can choose run an exploit against that browser or just take control of that browser. You can have Python shells running there. So if you do this, then you can select Linux or Windows, and then from there you can create that one, and then you will have a Python shell running there. Of course, if you want, you can make it a binary as well, or this third option. And all these options, they are coming because they were needed during a pen test, right? So as soon as there is something else, we will also add it. But as 2021, these are the options. Sadly, these are the options because I would like to see something more complex, but this is what is there. This is what's happening. This is what company needs because this is what they are getting attacked from. So, okay, so basically, this is a BBS code that you can get out. You can just run it per se, or you can put it inside an Office document. Or you can do a phishing exercise. Let me choose create this guy.
So you have phishing built into the tool.
Yes, phishing really cool. To do because this is the red team tab, so it helps you do some red team scenarios.
Can you clone websites as well?
You cannot clone it per se. I know what you mean, like just select a website and clone it, but it's most for gathering password from logins.
Gotcha.
And you can use the browser shell for that.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Okay. All right, so let's grab this guy. So basically, I'm just double clicking on it, but on a real pen test, and you will deliver a document or something like that. Mm-hmm. Well, and then from there you can choose. It depends on the commands. Depends on the agent that you have. On this one is a browser, so you can choose message, dialog, keylogger, sessions, plugins, brute force. This one is you have different commands because you have access to the operating system. We can take something there, and then we can take a screenshot. You can, I don't know, run something.
Cool.
That's very cool.
And there's run an agent as well, and a different one.
It's like Metasploit on steroids. So pivoting, Juan, once I get a hold of one system, can we, I'm sure that within the tool, we can pivot to another point. But is that graphically like displayed? I mean, how is that portrayed when we want to set up persistence and pivot to another point?
You can only pivot through shell codes.
Okay.
So basically, you can select one of your shells, and then from there you can try to, because it's meant to escalate privileges.
Right.
So
right.
it's meant to send something else to do, to be able to get more more permissions. But from the browser agent, you can pivot and then get something else from the network, because it's meant to be used, for instance, during a phishing campaign, or if you have access to a restricted network that they only have browsers or something like that, and then you get from there, and then you press to scan the network from it, and then from here you can auto-exec commands on each of the agents. So as soon as you get a connection, you can say, okay, I got a connection, but I know when. But as soon as you get a connection, then I don't know, maybe try to do a network discovery and get the network discovery.
Yeah, and so another thing too, so some of the exploits and some of the payloads that I use within Metasploit, right? Let's take, so I'm a big, I love exploiting Android phones and APKs. So with the accessibility to an Android phone, once I get root and getting, the camera, the GPS, all that stuff, is this modular to where if I run that same type of exploit, am I going to get that screenshot? Am I going to get that SMS text? Am I going to be able to send text through exploit pack through that phone or through that Android device?
We don't have agents for Android or mobile devices at the moment.
Is that in your roadmap?
So it is something that we are think of, but not something that that is on the roadmap yet.
Well, I can help you with that if you'd like. Just saying.
Right.
Yeah. So
we can talk later.
Yeah. I love Android, and I love the fact that all these exploits. So the best thing about exploit pack, besides its complexity and the fact that it's so dynamic, is that it sets everything out specifically, right? When you look at exploit pack, you can see what's going on behind the scenes. There's no question. With some of the other tools, you really have to guess, like, is this really working, or am I going to get an error message? But this is all like laid out perfectly. I mean, the different panes, the real-time response from the device and the actual data from the device. You don't see this in any other tool. I've been doing pen testing, red teaming for over 20 years, and this tool is the only one that really gives like the paned vision and the separation of what's going on within that device and the attacks. So complete kudos on that. Like that's awesome. A lot of the other tools really don't give you that insight. Metasploit definitely does not give you that insight, and the web version is horrible. Nexpose, I'm going to be Nexpose's biggest critic, because once HD gave Metasploit to Nexpose, it went downhill. And Saint Exploit, once they abandoned ship, it's gone downhill. But this right here, like Armitage really tries to give this image that Exploit Pack gives. And I don't know the relationship between Armitage and Exploit Pack, but they really try. But this is by far above and beyond any other tool that I've seen for red teaming, as far as separation of duties and actually looking at what's going on in the system. So I'm sorry, go ahead, Juan.
Well, basically, as you mentioned, what we try to do is to produce results. And some other tools, they really go with the trends. And as I mentioned from the beginning, our trends are the pentest itself. That's it.
So multi-threading within the tool. If I'm working on a very large subnet or net block, how well does this tool take on large subnets? And if we have multiple machines that are exploited, how does this tool handle that? Is there a limit? Is there a preferred installation as far as what can power this to the most effective state? What do you prefer? What do you suggest?
Well, it works with multi-threading as well as the latest Java version that you have. So they made a really improving performance after version 8.
Mhm.
So basically, we take that approach as we don't build our own multi-threading library, so we use the ones from Java.
Right.
And if you imagine how many kids are playing Minecraft and they're also using Java, so should be enough. So that's more than enough for us.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah, so I was installing it I installed it on Mac first of all, and that was pretty simple. And then we moved to Kali, installing Kali, super simple, like literally 2 steps, and I was running. Windows took a little bit, but Windows is kind of quirky anyways, but I prefer it on Kali, to be honest with you. Mac was good, but my Mac is an AirBook Pro or Mac AirBook. So it doesn't have the resources that like some of the bigger laptops have, like the Omen and Alienware. But yeah, by far, this is like the best. So
and it comes pre-installed in a Black Arch, another Linux distro as well.
Which one?
On Black Arch. Black Arch.
Black Arch. Yeah. Have you looked at any other distros to put in a repository?
Not that much.
No.
I know that some maintainers, they put it there, but that's it. We are not actively trying to push exploit pack into Linux distros or maintaining the packages.
Man, I really wish that you guys would push Kali to embed this in Kali and remove Armitage and the other nonsense scanning applications. This would. I'm selfish when it comes to that. Like, I would much rather have this than Armitage. I would much rather throw Armitage in the trash. But that's my opinion, and it does
make it friends, Mike. Always make it.
It does not reflect the opinions of the people who may pick up this podcast. So, go ahead, Juan.
But I think.
Go ahead.
I think you can have it though. You can have them all. I mean, we are in 2021, so I think we have enough space on our disk to have all these tools and more. So we don't need to choose. We don't need to generate like battles on, oh man, I like this one, so I have to hate the other one.
Yeah. I
can have both. And to be honest, I use Arbitrage, I use Metasploit, I use Nextpose, I use all these tools, and I don't like them. There's always something to learn, always something to use from other people, from other coders. So I'm really just use what works. And if it doesn't work on my tool and it works on their tools, then I'm just gonna use their tool. If there is something I can improve, I will try to do it. But always try to look it on the other side of the road, not just trying to follow my own.
But you build a better tool that way by looking at those other tools and realizing the downfalls and the shortcomings of other tools. So
because sadly I don't have the power to ask other people, hey, can you fix that for me, please? Because I don't like it that way.
So that brings up a good point, Juan. That brings up an excellent point. So I was doing voice over IP testing, right? And we had all these disparate tools, and they're like, oh, just download Sip Vicious and download this and download that. And I'm like, really? Like, I have to download like 50 different tools? Why can't we just have this in one distro? Why do I got to do all this nonsense?
Exactly.
So I created VAST, which is voice over IP security testing distro, whatever. And it's loaded with SIP testing tools, VoIP testing tools, and it's specifically for exploiting VoIP. And that to me gave me the toolkit that I needed. A lot of people don't do that. When they get into the industry, red teamers especially, they latch on to what the other red teamers are using. And unfortunately, they use one distro, which is Kali, and nothing's customized. So what I did when I started when I became a red team leader was downloaded Ubuntu and install the tools that I wanted. And Kali was not a default install on any laptop that we had. If you wanted a tool, fill out the request. Tell me why you want the tool. Tell me why you need it, and we'll install it. And in that way, it gave me an idea of how advanced some people were and where we needed to improve. So with that same mindset, Juan, looking at your tool, which is fantastic, by the way, where do you think the most improvement needs to be?
On the tool as it is right now?
As it is.
As it is right now, I think we need to focus more and more on what's coming next. And I think that and as I said today, 2021, and during lockdown, I think the what's coming next is APT attacks and EDR solutions. So that's my point of view. I might be wrong.
No.
If I'm wrong, then I will try to change the perspective. But I think that's what's coming. We are moving forward from remote type of attacks, and we are going more and more and more into endpoints because people is using they have more access, they have more laptop, they have more mobile phones, they are more exposed. So I think that's the target now.
Absolutely. You and me both. Like that's the same mindset I have. When it came to predictions for 2021, I said IoT and ISC, and so far we've seen both. And EDR, when you saw CrowdStrike being hit by SolarWinds and also Malwarebytes, like that's a big indication that people are getting smart and they're going after the defense products first to secure their position in the network. Like I totally get that. So as far as exploit pack, IoT and SCADA, what do you have as far as that goes within the tool?
SCADA, no, we don't have anything for SCADA. For IoT, it depends on your solution. I mean, you can implement the same agents there, so that should be doable. And we don't have like minimized type of agents that you can run from IoT devices. Because that's not something that was our list of needs. But as you mentioned, it might change during this year. It might change that you will need to pen test. If there is someone asking me, hey, I need to pen test this whole network with these LoRa devices and IoT that are all among these corporations, and we need to get an agent there, then of course we will just try to focus there and create a minimized agent or something that you can be staged or can escalate quickly.
Now, within the tool, within Exploit Pack, do you have different ways to exfil data? Like, let's say you want to exfil, a document or a directory. Is there a way to do that within Exploit Pack?
Yes, there is, and it's mostly through the agents that I should show you, and then from there you can exfiltrate all type of data on different type of channels.
Sure.
But this, when you look at technically, you will always go into the same type of exfiltrations that everyone is using it. Yeah. We try to adapt to always try to be undetectable. So try not to be catch.
Right.
We are playing that game for a long time, right? As everyone else.
So Juan, do you use like cloakification, like DNS or other protocols to hide data in within Exploit Pack when you exfil, or is that something that you personally do within engagement besides Exploit Pack?
Now we expect we don't provide a platform. We expect the pen tester to have their own
Gotcha.
platform. We don't want to be on the middle.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So cool. I as far as the tool goes itself, if I had 970 euros to pay for it, I absolutely would. And I would suggest any CISOs. I know that we have CISOs online with us right now, and I know that we have large corporations. I can think of one German corporation or LLC that's online right now that is looking to build a red team. And if you don't use Exploit Pack, you're making a huge mistake. So I would focus on this tool. Yeah. I would I would focus on this tool simply because of the fact that the people behind it are genuine and it's been tested and proven for a long time. So they're online. Take notice. As far as like the other people online, a lot of people are really new to pen testing and red teaming. Like I said, we have a wide variety of people joining the podcast, from 10-year-olds to women in tech who are just getting into cybersecurity that want to learn. So we provide this opportunity to meet people like you, Juan, that engineered and frontiered, this type of development and mindset, because it's so important to what we do on a daily basis. So I try to give back to where we came from. And actually, the German corporation wants me to send them your details so they can get in contact with you about the application itself. So Ryan, can you post up the Exploit Pack license structure? There's a link on the website for that pricing. Can you post that for
Yep,
them?
we'll do.
Cool. And okay, so this is not a forensics tool. This is a red teaming tool. There's a separation there. Forensics, totally different toolkit, totally different mindset. This would feed into the forensics because you have to pen test after a breach to figure out where the breach came from and isolate and all the good stuff. But this is not going to be your solution for forensics. This is going to be your solution for red teaming, pen testing, vulnerability research within a lab, and exploit development. I know that I used a lot of tools like Nessus, Armitage, Metasploit, different EI Retina to look at the results of a breach and look at the exploits that were used, but not forensics at all. Black box, yes, Mark, this would be good for black box. Your people would need to go out and do the OSINT to find the net blocks to test. But once you find those net blocks, this tool would be your end all be all for testing that net block.
What about reporting? How does the Exploit Pack go with reporting?
Oh, Jesus, fuck reporting.
Well, it doesn't provide you it does provide you a generator of a report of your actions, but it will not make a red team report for you. Because that should be customized, and I don't think there is added value into provide you a full red team exercise report or a pen test report, because you're not gonna use only Exploit Path for this.
No,
and if you do, then you are wrong.
Yeah, completely wrong. Another thing too is that if there are people listening or watching right now, and you have a red teaming company, hire a technical reporter. Hire a tech reporter who can take the results from your test, make it digestible to C-level, to technical level, and be done with it. It's a very small amount to pay for a very huge part of what red teamers and pen testers don't like to do. If you want to make your company successful, don't force your pen testers and red teamers to write 200-page documents on what they did. Have a tech reporter, have them ready, have them engage in all the operations that the red team engages on, take notes, and write their own shit. because there's going to come a point where red teamers are just going to want to red team. They're not going to want to write your documents. They're not going to want to put footnotes and headers in every little piece of data. They spend 24 hours a day researching vulnerabilities. They spend 24 hours a day rebuilding scenarios in their lab at home for free to exploit shit. So why not take a little bit of extra money that you're saving while these guys are up at midnight doing research? Take that money you would pay them and buy a tech reporter and write good reports instead of relying on the guy who's been up for 2 weeks straight, 24/7, testing networks because there's only 2 red teamers available. I can't count how many corporations I've been involved with who don't hire a tech reporter, but hire a shit ton of red teamers. And then they're like, well, who's going to write the report? Well, dude, you've hired 15 hackers who really don't give a shit about the report and they want to test and help people. Hire somebody declarative, administrative that can take that data, siphon it off, make sense of it, put it into a report, and deliver it on time. Simple. It's one position. That's my rant.
Yeah, I think that's extremely accurate, and I think I have the same view. If you count at the end of the year the amount of days you waste using these resources, red teamers, pen testers, they take 1-2 days for reporting, and they are not focused. So they are not focused on what is important. That is the threat, and you can you can minimize that. That's a waste of time by using a tech reporter, or even there are tools that also will minimize the structure of reporting itself for the pen tester, so they can focus on the vulnerability writing and describing those instead of just needing to write a full document with summary for X amounts of teams and for developers, for the board of directors. And I see that happen again and again and again. And yeah,
it's useful. It's a single point of failure, right? So
exactly.
We think in different ways, right? We look at a picture from a different angle. And when you have us write a report, so a lot of companies keep pen testers, keep red teamers away from clients, right? We get the SOW, we get the engagement, the rules of engagement, we go, we do our thing, because a lot of us aren't that social. So when you take that same group of people and take this mountain of data and hand it off to that same person who's not that great at being social and tell them, write a report for the entire company.
Yeah.
I'm surprised a lot more companies don't get the middle finger and people quit, because I know that's not my job. Yeah. So, be good to your employees. That's number one. If you're working your red teamers and they love what they do, or else they wouldn't be red teamers. I've never met a red teamer who hated their job, because that's what we live for, is we live for that challenge. But you put me behind a desk and tell me, hey, take this mountain of data and put it into a document where the CEO can understand it. I don't know, see Dick run, see Jane walk the fucking dog. That's not me. That needs to be a tech reporter, a tech writer who can write little footnotes and fancy abbreviations. Let me do my thing. And I think that's what the industry's coming to. That we had Vonahai on last week, and the CEO of Vonahai, Alton Johnson, we were talking about his tool and the way that they had a template for report writing. And I mean, it's perfect. You could take the output from this tool from Exploit Pack and also incorporate it into that template, make it much easier. But a lot of companies want the pen tester to actually sit down and write this shit. Do you want somebody like me writing a report to a company that has like 5,000 eternal blue vulnerabilities? Probably not. It'd be a very short report. So yeah, like my message is rely on a product like Exploit Pack to do your red teaming, to help be the foundation of your testing. But go out and hire a college-educated, English major tech writer who can get you through the actual last day of the engagement when reporting to the CEO. Or hire Ryan, because I'm not going to do it. So that
Nice plug. Thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
so Juan didn't mean to lose you on that one, but we all have our passionate areas of cybersecurity, and my biggest complaint about cybersecurity is we have the wrong people in the wrong roles. Like if you're gonna hire me to be your SIGINT and your ones and zeros, don't expect me to write a children's book for the CEO. It's not happening.
That's true. That's true, and I think we need people that is focused in the security area, that is focused on what they need to do and what they need to achieve. Try to look for the goals, try to make it, and try to keep it happy with among others, right?
Yeah.
Because if you put a pen tester to write a report, as you mentioned, for a week, that is. Yeah, you will lose him. I mean, the next what I see happening again and again and again is like a pen tester or a red teamer start a project, start a new scenario, a new pen test, and then at the end of the week and the end of the 2 weeks, he knows he needs to write the report and the sun that starts. Then it depends on how he feels, and it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah, I mean, and you also have to look at the amount of burnout when it comes to pen testing, right?
That's true. Yeah.
So there was a point where I was working for a DoD contracting company. I won't name the name because they were pretty poor. But I was traveling constantly for testing and doing just ridiculous shit like FedRAMP. Like that's not my bag. You know, you hand me a laptop and say you can only run this tool and you save the report in this directory and that's it. Like that's not pen testing me. That's point and click. You know, automate that shit. You don't need me. So I went from that and I was doing like 50-page reports. And I don't know if any of you guys have done FedRAMP audits, but it's a huge checklist and it takes weeks. And people can actually argue your findings. And so you have to go back and reprove the findings. So there's a lot of burnout when it comes to that. And report writing in general is just a pain in the ass. You know, I provide the videos, screenshots, data, even raw scripts that I use to exploit services. But there should be a dedicated resource for that. And we have tons of tools. We have tools for testing, scanning, OSINT, exploitation. Why don't we have a tool specifically for taking that data and writing fucking reports? How come the industry is not caught up with that? Ryan, that's your next job.
Thank you. I get the interesting stuff.
I was gonna say that's something I keep.
Yeah,
that's something I keep thinking about as well. Just a way to make a tool to kind of streamline.
Whoa.
I think we lost
You
him.
lost Mike. There we go.
Yeah, I think I'm frozen for a sec. We did lose him. Oh, there he goes.
Yeah, I'm back.
There he's back. Welcome back, mate.
Yeah, government, they hate me.
Yeah. From the FBI to USPS, it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. So, Juan, I want to thank you for jumping on and, you know, living in a haunted house for us for an hour and a half. And you're welcome anytime. If you want to come into the Discord, we have the Discord. I'll make sure you get that link and we'll make you a op in Discord. And really, to be honest with you, like it's just exposing people to applications, tools, different jobs they can get within the industry, and just a community. We share everything. We have a section for exploits. I do exploit videos once a week, put different exploits up and tools that I've messed with. And you're more than welcome to join anytime you want. I have utmost respect for the people who are developing tools for the next generation of cybersecurity. I had my time doing VAST and doing voice over IP, but my focus now is on giving back. And my point is bringing people like you on who are excited about what you do, have a great tool, have a great vision, and sharing that with people who are new to give them that same excitement and interest in what we do. So, with that said, I've lost my chat window thanks to LTE and Verizon. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to fire away. I have the chat back up.
Just want to thank
You're frozen, bro.
Juan for coming on. Thanks, man.
Also, your listeners are more interested on Exploit Pack, feel free to reach me out directly, or find the Discord channel. We can get in touch.
Absolutely. We'll advertise the Discord channel within our Discord. I'll send you a link to our Discord as well if you want to come visit and co-host or whatever. And just be part of the community. But we really
we will do the same.
Yeah, totally appreciate it, man. And anything we can do to help out Exploit Pack. If someone wants to contribute to Exploit Pack as far as SCADA goes, what avenues do you want that to go through? What channels?
Well, the Discord is a good one. I mean, they can reach me or the other guys.
Okay.
And and if they have any feedback or they want to get more involved into the tool itself, that's the way to go.
Absolutely. I would love to get involved as far as SCADA goes in ICS, because that's kind of my focus now is SCADA. Has been for probably about the past 10 years, because I think the next wave of serious attacks is going to be through SCADA. So yeah, I'll hook up with you on that. In the meantime, if anybody has questions for Juan, you can send them to me. I'll relay them to him through LinkedIn. Juan, thanks for the demo. So let's move on to the giveaway. Damien.
Yeah, giveaway.
Yeah, Damien.
That's part of my job.
So Damien, this is your merchandise through the UK that you're giving away.
Yeah.
How do you want to do this? This is new to me.
You know what? Let's do it this way.
Why don't you give Juan his choice of giveaway for being a guest, and then we choose whatever
20
method.
people.
Yeah,
It's just 21. How many people we have on the
20? We have 20.
We have 20, so everyone's gonna get something.
Yeah.
But I don't want any money for shipping. You need to buy Mike coffee, because Mike is always tired.
I don't need coffee because I have bourbon.
Okay. So you chip in for bourbon for Mike, and I'll get everything sorted.
Yeah. Okay. So Damo, to back things up a little bit, so that Juan gets a sense of where we're at as a community and a podcast. We have rebuilt this podcast twice. Once from the beginning, and we've got a huge following. But the group that I came from decided to attack us a month ago, and we've rebuilt off of that. So the people that you see here online right now active are the same people who have been supportive since day one. So with that being said, give Juan his choice of merchandise, whatever he wants from the Haunted Hacker podcast, and the rest of it. Damo, you choose how you want to divvy it up. If you want to do a quiz, if you want me to
No, there is no quiz. We do it. Everyone gets something,
Cool.
because
Cool.
this movement is genuine movement. It's not the Tesco's or Sainsbury's or all the crap. It's a really genuine movement.
So
I bet the Warren Buffett is listening to us. He wants to invest. Joke.
I wish.
I wish it was Joe Rogan. Yeah.
No, it's this whole movement.
Yeah, that's who we're really trying to get a hold of is Joe Rogan.
Yeah, well,
this
whole movement is all about dad.
Yeah.
I call Mike dad. He's the dad of our movement.
I'm the most. Have you ever seen the TV show Shameless?
Frank.
Wow.
Cheers. I'm that dad.
Yeah. So everyone on this podcast today is gonna get something, but the thing is, how we gonna get delivery is sorted. That's the biggest problem, because then everyone starts sending me their addresses. I'm gonna feel uncomfortable because
Okay.
I've got people's
So-
personal data.
We'll do it this way. We'll do it this way. Everybody who wants to receive something from the podcast, send me your information. I'll make sure it's shipped. Right now, all